Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
The process of learning to manage ego must be gradual and gentle. Do not torture or punish yourself. Instead, focus on cultivating the following three qualities: acceptance, presence, and humility. That's just a little bit of the section of the book we're going to be talking today. This is Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes, the voice of consciousness. I am your co-host, Mark Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, coming to you live from the sunny Seattle, Washington. If you are one of our inspired listeners all around the world, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. It's our goal of having a fun, inspiring, healing, knowledgeable episode, or what we like to call Wisdom Wednesday. And if you want to learn more about the spiritual work that I'm doing or the spiritual path that I'm on, or you want to do a little prospecting for yourself, you can find more about my practice here in Seattle at marklainhart.com, or you can just do an internet search of the Intuitive Prospector. Down in sunny California, I would imagine it's sunny, since it's sunny up in Seattle, is my fabulous and talented and beautiful co-host, Kim Falcon, founder of Love First. Hi, Kim.
Oh, my goodness, Mark. Hi. Thank you for the warm introduction. As always, Mark, it's so great to be here. We have a wonderful show ahead of us. And, yes, it is sunny down here in Los Angeles, especially where I'm at, which is in the valley. And it's, typically 10 degrees hotter than it is in the LA area. So it is nice and sunny out here. As Mark said, I'm Kim Falcon, founder of Love First in Encino, California. And if you are interested in understanding your life from a deeper perspective, perhaps through readings where you'll receive guidance from your soul, your angels, and your team of guides, or maybe you're interested in shifting your energy through energy healings, possibly working with the power of your mind through hypnotherapy, or looking to further your spiritual development, please contact me. I would absolutely love to work with you because I absolutely love and am passionate about this work. You can find me at lovefirst, LOVEFIRST.info.
Now, I noticed you said that you were in the valley. So when you say that, do you have to say it with a certain, we're in the valley? Because it's hotter here.
I know. I don't have that special accent anymore. But yes, that's where I am, over the hill. Over the hill.
Well, Kim, we're excited today. We have a new feature that we're trying out for the very first time. It's been in development for some time now. So I just want to give a very big, inspired shout out to Chris, who is not only producing the show for us right now, but he's going to be taking and managing the call-in lines for Inspired Living Radio. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all your hard work, Chris. I know you've been working very hard this last year to get the call-in lines for us, and we are ready to announce those call-in lines. If you want to call in during the second half of the show, so that's going to be 12:30 Pacific, the number to call is area code 1-202-570-7057. That is the OMTimes radio call-in line, and we'll try to bring you live to air with your question for Kim, myself, or our special guest. But, Kim, we have call-in lines. Woo-hoo!
I am so excited about this. We were thrilled to take questions through social media. Of course, you can do that as well if you prefer to go that route, but we would welcome your calls today as well, especially with the guests that we have on today. And Just speaking of social media, you can find us on Facebook under Inspired Living Radio, Twitter and Instagram under Inspired for Us, Google Plus under Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. You can interact with us. You can find out about upcoming shows. You can send through your questions beforehand. And, of course, now you can call in live. And you can, at any time, listen to all of our archives on OMTimes Radio, Archives, Podbean, SoundCloud, marklanehardt.com, and YouTube and iTunes. So this show in particular will probably be up. They're pretty good about posting them within 24 hours, and we know we're going to have a lot of people that are going to want to either miss this show, want to listen to it, or listen to it again because there's going to be so much wonderful information that's going to be covered today. As always, every month we do have an inspired affirmation. The affirmation for the month of August is I am whole, healthy, and complete.
I love it, whole, healthy, and complete. And I was just going to say, too, for our inspired listeners, being that we're on iTunes now, head on over to iTunes and give us a star rating of what you think of the episodes. Kim and I are always open to feedback. Want to send us a personal message, people that you might want to see on the show, something that we can do to improve. But we have call-in lines, so I'm feeling all grown up now, Kim.
That's right. Exciting times.
It is. And we're doing live videos now, too, for the inspired listeners. So if you head on over to our Facebook page, Inspired Living Radio, I've gone ahead and put in a live video feed introducing our special guest, his book. And I just want to read a little bit about his bio. He's a very up-and-coming spiritual trailblazer, as I like to say. He's got a new book out that we're going to be talking about. You heard at the opening of the show, I read a little bit, just a snippet about the ego. I was very drawn to the chapter on the ego and doing spiritual work. But our special guest today is Chandresh Bhardwaj. He is a spiritual teacher, and he's the founder of Break the Norms movement, and he's the author of the book Break the Norms. Question everything you think you know about God and truth, life and death, love and sex. And that came out in January of 2016. And Chandresh's journey has been drawing on ancient Eastern traditions of healing, meditation, and transformation. He helps others awaken their inner selves and realize the highest potential in this modern time. And aren't we all trying to figure that out, right, Kim? Or what's our potential in this crazy modern time of ours? Isn't
that the truth?
He was born and raised in India. His interest in training and spirituality started early as a seventh-generation spiritual guide. Again, seventh-generational spiritual guide. And he was taught by both his father, His Holiness Sri Shamanda Swami, I hope I am saying that right, and his grandfather, His Holiness Sri Ratan Kindorvi, an acclaimed healer from Punjabi, India. And after experiencing the death of his sister and his best friend at the age of 19, Chandresh learned firsthand how transformative meditation and spirituality can be in day-to-day life. So with that, I'd just like to welcome Chandresh Bhardwaj to Inspired Living Radio. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kim. Such a pleasure and honor to be here.
Well, thank you for being on. You know what really caught my attention when we are researching upcoming guests for the show, because we usually, with Inspired Living Radio, we book out a few months in advance. And when I was talking with Kim, your book caught my eye. And what interested me was in your bio, it talked about the experience that you had on the death of your sister and also your best friend at the age of 19, such a young age. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of us that are on the spiritual path and the spiritual journey, I had the same situation with death of both of my brothers in the same week. And that really changed my journey and opened me up to what I call my spiritual paradigm shift. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to take a few minutes before we go to our first break, have you just talk a little bit about who you are, what you're doing in the world, the awesome changes that you are bringing to this modern world of ours, and just introduce yourself to the inspired listeners all around the world.
Okay. So I'm really honored to be here. I love the show. I was listening to your podcast yesterday, so I've enjoyed all that you share. My journey started, I believe my journey started even before when I was born, when my mother was pregnant. My grandpa, he's a guru of my father, he told my mother that the soul you're bringing here, don't send him to formal school. He's going to learn something different. He's going to teach something different. So don't waste his time sending to formal schooling. But my mother was a teacher then, and she said, no, you don't want your grandson to be educated. And my grandpa said, no, he will be educated, but he's going to get educated in something different, something unconventional, and you got to encourage him because I won't be alive to see him. And that fascinated me, that when exactly my journey started, I was naturally obsessed with spirituality from day one, Mark. I was in India. I would read books on pretty much everything that's tantra, meditation, spirituality. I went to school in India. I did my high school in India, but I would spend all my extra time in meditation, in reading, meditation, these two things. And I started asking my father about certain books on spirituality when I was pretty young, and he said, you don't need books on that. You need experience. Don't go by what's in the books. Go by your experience. So he kind of motivated me to meditate more, to get the experience, because he always told me spirituality is a borrowed experience. You take it from other teachers, healers, books, speakers, but then you got to discover that light in your own awareness. And I'm so grateful, he said that, because that inspired me to really go out and practice my spirituality. And then I came to New York. I did my schooling in Manhattan in accounting and finance. But being in Wall Street, I realized I need to quit the Wall Street and start Break the Norms. And the Break the Norms book came out a few months ago. The organization happened 4 years ago. And since then, I've been really happy and grateful to be doing this.
And forwarded by the Holiness of Dalai Lama. So you got to feel just blessed in the gratitude for that. It's just amazing.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be going to our first break, but Chandresh, you made a very important note that spirituality is about the experiences. And when we come back from our first break, let's talk about the experiences. Life is an acronym, learn it from experience. So let's talk about that when we come back from our first break. This is Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. Stick around.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAIN.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
And welcome back to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Special guest Chandresh Bhardwaj, talking about his new book, Break the Norms, questioning everything you think you know about God and truth, life and death, love and sex. And right before we went to the break, Chandresh, we were talking about experience, because I think that's a very big, important point about not necessarily following what the books say, but what your own experiences, and taking the wisdom of the world and deciding for yourself what spiritual path to follow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think spiritual experience is what creates your reality. You can listen to me, I can listen to you, right? We all can listen to each other's experiences, but until and unless we don't have our own inner experience, then it's not spiritual light yet.
Yeah, exactly. And just for our inspired listeners, again, if you want to interact with us live, head on over to our Facebook page, Inspired Living Radio. Type in your question there, or we have call-in lines starting at the second half of the show. You can call OMTimes Radio at area code 202-570-7057. This is a great opportunity to be able to talk with our special guests, ask a question, get some insight. And as far as Chandresh, let's talk real quick about the meditation for those inspired listeners that might be in the New York area. Let's talk about your meditation center there, because you're currently in LA, but you were telling me before the show that you go to New York every month for your meditation center.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I conduct weekly meditation talks in LA every week, Tuesday, and I go to New York every month, and I conduct a monthly lecture there in Long Island, Hicksville. Hicksville is half an hour from New York City. It's a very quiet, nice, neighborhood there, and we have a good community there. I don't have any upcoming event in New York City. We'll have one in October, but nothing in this month or September. But if people can jump on my Facebook page or website, we keep posting the events there. But we do have lots of events in LA area in this month, next month.
And real quick for our inspired listeners, what is your Facebook page and your website so they can check you out?
Okay, so the website is cbmeditates.com, and Facebook is just, you spell my name. It's very easy to spell, Chandresh Bhardwaj.
And we have that posted on our Facebook page, so if you want to just copy and paste versus typing it out, go for it.
Right, so it's Facebook. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's facebook.com/Bhardwaj Chandresh. But I'm glad you have the spelling of my name on your post, so they can, cheat from there.
Yes, and I was just laughing. Well, not only are you a spiritual teacher, but you've got a great sense of humor too. That's always nice. So Chandresh, you said you do weekly talks in LA. So talk to us about some of the work that you're doing. And in your book, I mean, there's so many. Wow, all of the major questions in life, right? Love, God, sex, everything is covered in this book. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so, Kim, my work has been into Tantra mainly. My father is a Tantra teacher. My grandpa was a Tantra teacher. And I got to tell you one experience.
Wow.
When I moved to New York from India, and I would share my experience that I come from a lineage, where we have Tantra teachers. And they would look at me with a very surprised, almost suspicious look, and I thought, what's wrong? I love Tantra, and I've been meditating on Tantra traditions, but why they look at me as if I'm doing something wrong? Then I went home, I Googled what Tantra is, and I saw Tantra here is basically soft porn, and I realized, okay, that's what everyone is thinking. And then I called my dad, and I said, Dad, have you been training me to be a sex therapist? And he said, oh, what's wrong? And then I told him this is what I keep coming across. And then we both had a very good chat about what Tantra was and what it is in reality, and how marketing gurus just picked up the sex part of it but ignored everything else. So Tantra, in one line, literally means technique. It's a technique of self-realization. And Tantra has a very beautiful message that don't run away from your desires, anger, ego, greed, attachments. They are part of you, but use meditation, use the power of your self-awareness to channel these desires, temptations into higher consciousness. And sex is part of our all elements. It's not everything. It's one of the many elements, along with anger, ego, greed, attachment. And Tantra says combine all of these and use that to channel your energy, your experience into higher awareness. And my work has been majorly into helping people to transform their anger, desire, greed, attachments into higher awareness with the help of meditation. So I don't tell anyone suppress this or stop doing this or you got to get rid of these emotions. I tell them you have these emotions, you got to live these emotions, but you got to include meditation with every emotion you experience, and then that emotion will have a different energy. That's what I've been working on since forever, actually.
Well, and that, I'm tongue-tied here because there's so much I could ask about what you just said. So let's just say somebody's experiencing an emotion of, let's just say, anger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then how do you channel that into higher consciousness? How would somebody do something like that, or what does that mean?
Okay. So I think, Kim, the first thing is anger is just a symptom of what's happening deeper in you. Anger, when you get angry, your body is simply telling you that there's a deeper root cause behind it. Behind your anger, there's a lot that you haven't resolved. So my work is, first of all, get into the deeper reasons for that anger. If I tell you don't get angry, your anger won't stop. But if I can take you into a deeper experience from where that anger actually comes, that's where the root is. That's where the main reasons live. And with meditation, with the right chakra, with the right mantra, with the right healing experience, that anger can transform into something creative. If I tell you lift a table and throw it out of a window, you can't do it. But when you're angry, you can throw two tables, right? You just get a sudden strength when you're angry. You do things that you can never imagine. I remember I have my cousin. He's in Canada and he's into workout and bodybuilding in major way. And he always tells me when I'm angry, I go to gym because I can work out for longer hours. And when I have to chat with him on a brother to brother level, I remind him you have that strength. When you are angry, anger helps you to work out more. So there's that energy that you haven't tapped, but anger helps you in some way then. So with my clients, with my students, each client is unique, first of all. So my work with each of the students, really revolves around what are their reasons of anger, what are their reasons of getting anxious, getting uneasy in their awareness, and that can be tapped into higher awareness through creativity, through doing something that can help them to heal, that can help them to just express more easily.
And well, let's talk about sexual desires, because I think that's, like you said, when you came here, so a lot of people equate Tantra to, but yet sometimes I think it's hard for people to understand that sexuality is a part of spirituality, right?
Absolutely.
So explain to us how that is. Sometimes people's ideas of sex is not so good, that it doesn't come from a pure place or a divine place, but rather, depending on what one's upbringing is or what their past experiences are. So talk to us about how all of that fits in together and how it is a part of spirituality.
Absolutely. Our journey is from sex to super consciousness. That's what I feel. And that's what I, try to help and, teach everyone else around me. I believe, Kim, we have 3 states of love. The first state happens on a physical level. That's more to deal with sexual desires. The second state is awareness. And third state, that goes beyond awareness. That goes beyond your physical needs and even the needs of your awareness. Sex is the first step toward experiencing your higher consciousness. Sex is the first step towards spirituality. The good thing is we all have that energy and we all can experience it. The bad thing is we get stuck at the first step itself. I ask people, when you were little, you used to play with, toys, and now you're adult. I hope you're not playing with the same toys. And most of them answer, no, we don't play with the same toys because we are grown up, we are evolved now, we are mature now. So there's a phase of your awareness when sex serves a certain energy, a certain need in you. But then you got to go beyond it. And that doesn't mean you renounce your sexual desires or you suppress it or you stop having it. But that experience takes on a different level. It goes on a different level. The tragedy is so many of us get stuck at that first step itself. We are not able to go beyond it. But in that sexual experience, you can have that egolessness, that feeling, that power where you are beyond ego, where you are beyond all the labels, all the ego trips that you go through. But you got to have a partner who understands it. I talk about this a lot, that when you sleep with someone, when you experience your sexual energy with someone, you take on their energy and you give them your energy. That energy exchange is very powerful. And if you're very casual about sex, then you're exchanging energy, which can take a long time to get rid of. And that's why you experience anger, anxiety, uneasiness, because you have taken on energy of other people and you have given them yours. And it can take years to get rid of that. Yeah.
Mm. And that's right. And I don't think people have that understanding of that of the act of sex, that it's an exchange of energy. Mm-hmm. They don't understand how powerful that can actually be. Absolutely.
They don't have any idea, and I think now sex has become so casual, and I always say now it has become more mental than physical. People fantasize about it more. They are not living it. They're not experiencing it deeply. They're just having it on surface. They're not going deeper into it.
Mm-hmm. And so talk to us about that, moving from the first stage into awareness, into that egolessness, and then the importance of having a partner who understands that too. Is that's a lot that comes into play in the second stage.
Mm-hmm. That's something that involves a deep, detailed answer. I think the first step for us is to experience a deeper state of awareness, and once we come back from break, then I'll lead the listeners into how they can go deeper after experiencing that first state.
Oh, that would be great, Chandresh, and that is our cue that we are heading into the second break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us as we continue this beautiful conversation with our special guest, Chandresh Bhardwaj, and the topic of mantra.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. he's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim and our special guest today, Chandresh Bhardwaj, as we continue on with this amazing conversation and a wealth of knowledge from our guest on the topic of Tantra. So, Chandresh, before we went to break, we were talking about moving through the stages of love.
Yeah, so first state of love is on the physical level. It could be physical desire, sexual desire, physical attraction. One thing we all need to understand, this first state of love is available to everyone. It's available to humans, insects, animals, birds, everyone out there. So if we are just stuck at that state, we are not making full use of our human consciousness. We are not making full use of our human potential. If you are stuck in the first state, you will always have arguments, jealousy, possessiveness in your relationship. That's the sign that you're stuck at the first state. There's going to be jealousy, possessiveness, anger, and very unnecessary issues in the couple. That's a clear sign you're stuck in that state. If you are able to understand that you're stuck, and if you both, the couple, can meditate together on each other's desires, and very importantly, they got to ask each other, is it my conscious desire or is it my impulsive desire to be in the sexual experience? And most of the times it's impulsive, it's not conscious. But if you can consciously experience energy with your partner, then it can take on the second state, which is on the state of awareness. It's on the state of consciousness. In that state, you're still in love. You're still deeply, in fact, you're more deeper in love in the second state of awareness. But you also experience, there's a sense of divinity. There's a sense of compassion. There's a more to each other's sexual energy than just being on the physical level. And you start to give more freedom to your partner, and you also experience freedom within yourself. Freedom becomes a huge part of love in the second state of this whole love and relationships. If you can continue to move deeper and deeper and experience that freedom, that compassion, that vulnerability, then you finally experience the third state. And I got to admit, third state is the toughest. Second, we all can experience it a little easier, but the third one is very tough, but it's not impossible to achieve. In the third state, you go beyond loving just few people. Love doesn't become available to just few of your favorite people. Your love becomes available to everyone out there, even to a stranger, a homeless, to your family, and you truly become unconditional in that state. There are no conditions, no demands, and you are overflowing with love. And I would say the third state is actually the state of enlightenment. And that's why they say love and the energy of sex can take you through that experience. But you got to live through the first two states in a very balanced way. Don't get stuck in either of the both states. That's what I would recommend.
And when you talk about freedom, what does that look like?
Freedom looks like giving emotional freedom, giving the freedom of opinion expression. So you should be allowed to give your loved ones the freedom to express what they want to say, freedom to experience their love, their emotions in their glory. It means that the partner doesn't have to fit into your expectations, and you don't have to fit in your partner's expectations. You are not here to fulfill anyone's expectations, and they're not here to fulfill your expectations. But the best part is you both can exchange this energy, you both can exchange this compassion, creativity together, and you don't lose your light by merging in the light of your lover. You still both remain independent, and you still keep on encouraging each other. You still keep on supporting each other's journey, and you're not losing anything within you. You're only enhancing the quality of your awareness. That's what the freedom looks like.
Mm-hmm. And so, you talked about meditating together, and I think you cut out just a little bit, but what types of meditation would be good to do with your partner?
I've mentioned a couple of them in the book, but for now, I'll just mention an easy, brief meditation. You can do this in the morning or in the evening before you sleep. Just sit next to each other, and you can hold hands of each other and breathe in together. Hold your breath for a moment, and gently exhale the breath together. Do that for good 5 to 6 minutes, breathing together, holding the breath together, and releasing the breath together. And then set a collective intention. Both of them got to set one intention together, and that intention has to be common. Don't have your separate intentions. Set one intention for that love, for that relationship, because if there's no intention in the relationship, then it can just go all over. You've got to have one intention. What exactly are we doing here? Where exactly are we going? From where I'm coming, from where am I going now? A lot of people lose that passion, that excitement after they get married, because before marriage, they had one intention, right? To get married, to have children, start a family. But the moment they have all of this, when the marriage is done, when the kids are there, suddenly they feel they are in that routine. They're not having the same excitement or passion for each other. And that's why there needs to be one intention. Intention could be spiritual, could be material, could be a balance of both, but you've got to have one intention. And if you can meditate together every day for even 15 minutes, 10 minutes, breathe in together, hold your breath for a moment, and breathe out. And then set one intention. And after that, continue to be in silence. Continue to experience that silence with each other for another 5 to 7 minutes. That will change incredibly everything, what you're experiencing in your relationship.
Wow. I could imagine how powerful that would be. Just understanding the power of meditation by yourself, let alone combining that power with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question that's come in. I know we haven't talked yet a lot about some of the other aspects of the book, but there's a listener who has sent through a question and who has asked that if someone is going through how does someone who isn't sure if there's a God receive the confirmation that they need? What is the best way for someone struggling with this to strengthen their connection, to understand that there is something greater than themselves? How do they get the answers that they need to help them with that understanding?
Mm-hmm. So I believe the question they're asking about existence of God, if that really exists, to answer them, right?
Yeah, they're struggling with that concept, whether or not there is God.
Okay, so I have a full chapter about God in the book because the subject fascinates me so much. And I made a video many years ago. In fact, when I started, working, I made this video called God of No Religion. And I encourage listeners to meditate on a God that doesn't belong to any religion. Because what happens, if you're born in a Hindu family, you start worshiping Krishna. If you happen to be in a Christian family, you start, meditating on Christ. And I went to Catholic school in India. For 10 years, I was in Catholic school. I was being raised in a Hindu family. And I had a pretty good experience of all these religions blending into each other. So I would recommend, for a moment, drop all the ideas you have about God. Drop all the labels, all the stories that you have heard, and start to just feel your awareness, start to feel your existence. Because God, in my opinion, God is not a giant person sitting above all of us making a record of our good deeds and bad deeds, but God is a presence in all of us. Godliness is a presence. It flows within me, within you, everywhere. It doesn't have its favorite places. It doesn't choose to be within me more and little less and some homeless sitting out there in Hollywood right now. It chooses to be everywhere. It's up to us how much we can tap into that power. So those who are struggling to understand or accept the idea of God, I would recommend drop everything that you have learned. I remember I did a talk in Amsterdam a couple of years ago, and someone came to me, and he was a Dutch, and he said, I loved everything you shared. I want to experience that. So do I have to be Hindu to do it? I said, no, sir, you got to undo, and then you can experience all of this. Because unlearning is the first step toward experiencing godliness. So for a moment, just leave all that you have learned. Don't read any books. Don't go to any spiritual teacher for a while. Just experience your own existence, experience your own love, your own forgiveness, your own compassion, and you will experience there's something more gentle, kind, and divine within you. Pray to that God for a while, and then you will be attracted, you will be inclined to one particular godly figure. It could be Krishna, Christ, Buddha, anyone. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to belong to your religion, but it has to belong to your heart. You've got to feel that love for that godly figure, that godly consciousness. But it has to start with you.
And so you talk a little bit about prayer in the videos that I've seen. What is prayer? What's the best way to pray? And do you have to pray for help to receive it? These are some of the questions that have come up around that, because I guess there are people that are asking, well, what about free will? If you don't ask for help, then do you still get it?
Okay, there's a lot of great and deep questions. Let's talk about all of these exciting questions after the break, because I don't want to rush and give just a quick answer. I think this deserves a good detailed answer.
Yes, we're going to be heading to break in just a few moments here. So when we talk about prayer, we're going to break in 1 minute. Right. So we'll come back. We'll come back from break. We'll continue this conversation on all of these very important topics that we all want answers to. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes as we continue the conversation with our guest today, Chandresh Bhardwaj.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
What's up? This is Brad and Mike from Lincoln Park for LifeBeat, the music industry fights AIDS. Listen up, times are tough and you get a lot of things thrown your way. If you're being pressured to have sex and you're not ready, then say no. If you're having sex, be smart and use protection. Respect yourself and protect yourself.
For more information, call the National AIDS Hotline at 1-800-342-AIDS or log on to www.lifebeat.org.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim and our special guest today, Chandresh Bhardwaj. Chandresh, before we went to break, you were talking about prayer, and there was all kinds of great questions that came up around that from our listeners. And I'll let you continue on with that. We're talking about what is prayer, is there a right way to pray, and do we have to pray and ask for help in order to receive it?
Okay, so I grew up in an environment where prayer is a big deal. In Eastern traditions, there are a lot of prayers. As a kid, I remember I went to this shrine with my father, and I didn't get time to sit there and pray. And I was in probably 7th or 8th grade, I think. And I was very disappointed that I didn't get a chance to sit there. It's a very crowded place. And when my father asked me why I looked disappointed, I said I didn't get time to pray. And he said, what do you mean? You can say your prayer now. And I said, no, remember that prayer you gave me? And it's a long one. I couldn't say it there. And he said something that really changed my entire perspective on prayer. He said, prayer is your presence. If you are praying to divinity, God, universe, it can listen to your presence. It may not be able to understand your words, but it can understand your presence. It can understand why you are standing here, why you are seeking that grace and strength. So you got to ask yourself, is my presence expressing my prayer? So even if you don't say those words, but if your presence is saying it, that completes it. And since then, I have been, doing this mantra that prayer is your presence. Feel your presence. I can be asking for all the positive, successful, happy things in life, but my presence may be radiating negativity, anger, disappointment. So then my prayer is not going to reach anywhere. You got to transform your presence. You got to bring yourself here. And one of the great ways to do that is asking yourself, where am I? And you can be all over. So ask yourself, where am I? Bring your presence right in the place. And then you can, say the prayer that you want to. Prayer is a statement of gratitude. Prayer is a statement of expressing your deeper intention. And that anyone can do it. And with free will, we all have free will, by the way, Kim. That's what I live. That's what I experience every day. You can go beyond all the readings of psychic astrologers by your own karma, by your actions. And free will lives in all of us. Prayer, meditation has the power to change it. And one important thing, meditation with action changes everything. Don't just meditate or pray. And don't just take actions. You got to combine the best of both.
I love that because each one of those aspects are such an important part of everything, shall we say. If someone is going through a difficult time in life, let's say with some pretty heavy challenges, depression, anxiety, addiction, a lot of what we see in today's world, of course, there's always seeking professional help, doctors, therapists, etc. But how can, let's say, Eastern traditions help, or what can we do for ourselves to help ourselves through these kinds of difficulties?
Mm-hmm. So I actually filmed a complete online course just day before yesterday on anxiety and how you can heal anxiety, depression through meditation. And I talked about how anxiety comes from many sources. It can come from a relationship, it can come from a career, it can come from even your own thoughts. So you got to first really talk to someone or even express yourself on a paper where exactly your anxiety or depression is coming from. And even if you can't figure that part out, still take out time to be in silence, do a little mantra, go out and meditate in nature. One mantra that I give to everyone is, who am I? Constantly ask yourself, who am I? And see where it takes you. Who am I simply means that I'm not this body, I'm not these labels, these stories, I'm beyond all of these. And who am I can help you actually diagnose the problem, what exactly is creating all this chaos.
Wow, that's really powerful. So you're sitting in a meditation and you're just focusing on the questions, who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? Who am I?
Mm-hmm. And don't accept or reject any answers. Simply listen to all the answers. Just pay attention to watching all the answers. And when all these answers stop, then you'll experience a silence and emptiness. And that's when you'll start experiencing the deeper change.
Well, and I think that's a good segue, Chandresh, to talk about getting to that silence part that you talk about in your book in Chapter 4. Let's get to the straight talk about the ego, about that conversation that you're having with yourself before you get to the silence. What I liked in this chapter is how you talked about ego, anger, desire, but some of the things when you talk about ego and spirituality, the ego is evil and we must dispose of it. And I really liked your approach of, the mastery of the ego. If we could, in the last section of the show here, if we could talk about a little bit more in depth on the ego and the acceptance of it and how we, I like how you said, edging God out or edging the guru out. If we could talk a little bit more about that for the inspired listeners, I think that would be very important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, it's great talk about ego. The first thing I want to say is stop taking yourself seriously because no one else is doing it. Only you are taking yourself so seriously. And the more you take yourself seriously, the more ego will take on you. When we are experiencing these ego trips, we are taking our presence, our existence too seriously. We are glorifying all the problems and we are, being the victim of everything. Mm-hmm. But in reality, this is all creation of mind. It all comes from impulsive desires. It comes from the conditioning. It comes from all the ideas that you have picked, about success, about failure, about relationships. And when these ideas don't meet up to your expectations, your ego says, your mind says, you got to do it your way. You got to figure it out your way. And you start to fight out the whole thing. It becomes very ugly. It gets very ugly. The main source of ego is the mind. Mind is the storehouse of all the past experiences, conditioning, memories. And mind will only give you the ideas from the past or the future. In the present moment, there is only awareness and consciousness. And in the present moment, ego doesn't have a place because mind doesn't have a place in the present moment. Mind comes from the past. And every time mind takes over you, you are going to act through the ego. You are going to function through that conditioning.
Mm-hmm. And let's kind of break it down because we're in chapter 4 doing all the straight talk about the ego, right? Not taking ourselves seriously. The acceptance piece of it. Let's talk about the first word there because it's acceptance, presence, and humility, and go into a little bit more detail on the acceptance piece of it.
Mm-hmm. I think self-acceptance, I'm sure you'll agree, Mark. I read about your work, and people have a difficult time to accept who they are. Accepting of their emotions, accepting of their presence is a tough thing for a lot of people. And since they cannot accept themselves, that's why they get angry and they act through the ego. The uneasiness causes them to act through the ego. What I really recommend in this acceptance phase for everyone is ask yourself, what do I need and what do I want? Because what you want may not be what you need. And that's where ego plays out its part. I may want all the chocolate cookies, but I don't need that. I may need a healthy green juice. But the ego may tell me to eat what's my impulsive desire. So you got to differentiate what's your impulsive desire and your conscious desire. I believe if you can differentiate between your impulsive desire and your conscious desire, you can find the root of your ego. Between the wants and the needs, you'll find the answer for the ego.
Mm-hmm. And let's get into the second part, presence, as far as the ego of the past and the future and the oxygen that it wants from your past and your future.
Mm-hmm. As I was talking to Kim, I'm a big advocate of this mantra, your presence is your prayer. So when you are in touch with your presence, when you are in touch with that present moment, you are going to experience that egolessness state because we are not conscious about our presence, Mark. We have unconscious emotions. We live in a very unconscious state most of the time. And just understanding your presence, asking yourself, where am I? And constantly bringing yourself with your presence will help you to go away from the ego.
Mm-hmm. And what about the humility of it?
I think I love your questions. I think the humility part would be an effortless outcome if we can experience that presence, if we can experience that who am I part, what do I want, what do I need. Humility flows with it. That modest, compassionate approach to our awareness, it just happens effortlessly. That's what I've experienced. I can't force humility, right? I can probably try to be more compassionate, more kind, but humility is something that just starts to flow effortlessly when we ask these important questions. What do I want? What do I need? And where is my presence? And just get in touch with your deeper presence. Then you experience humility.
I love that. So as we start to get into the last few minutes of the show, Chandresh, there's an exercise called Witness the Ego that you talked about in your book. And for folks that want to check out your work, come to your meditation center, work with you directly, what's the best way to contact you via Facebook, your website, buy your book? And then I'd like to finish just with a quick summary of Witness the Ego and how can people witness their own ego. Like I said, I really love this book. It was very eye-opening, very inspiring, and again, very similar journey to my own. And so I just want to congratulate you on this book, and would love to have you back on the show in 2017 if you're interested.
Absolutely.
But let's talk real quick just for folks to contact you, and then let's finish the show with how to witness the ego.
Hello?
Yep. Are you still there? Yep.
Yes.
So just the best way for folks to contact you, and then just a quick summary on how to witness our ego, just a real quick summary.
Right. So the best way to contact me is through my website, cbmeditates.com. You can send a message through the website. I do live videos on my Facebook page. That's another great way to stay in touch. And last thing, witnessing the ego. To everyone who's listening, today I want you to do just a 10-minute exercise. Ask yourself, what do I want? What do I need? And write down all these things. And then start to eliminate the wants and then the needs. The need comes from your consciousness. The want comes from your ego. Differentiate that and start to witness that experience.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, Chandresh, there you can hear the music. That's the end of the show. We'll have you back on at a future date. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chandresh.
We're going to be on vacation. Kim and I are taking a 2-week break. We're going to have our favorite encore shows up for next week and the week after. So we'll be talking to you again in September. Until that time, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.